Jani Ortlund. I'm married to Dr. Ray Ortlund, who's a pastor in Nashville, Tennessee, at Emmanuel Church. I'm mother to 4 married children, grandmother to 14. One has preceded us to heaven, and we wait to spend eternity with little hope. But we have 13 so far with us here on earth. I also help administrate our ministry, Renewal Ministries, through which Ray and I are able to speak and write and hold conferences. The book I want to share with you today is called A Child's First Book About Marriage. God's Way is Always Best. As I said, we have several grandchildren, all of them being raised in Christian families, being raised in a Christian home where their mommy and daddy love Jesus and want them to love Jesus. But there are so many confusing messages coming to them in their neighborhood, where they have neighbors who are divorced or living in same-sex relationships, and at school where they're learning more and more about different gender issues. And I wanted our grandchildren at a very young age, soon as they could start understanding English, to begin learning about God's way for marriage, because I really believe God's way is best. This book brings a child into the world of marriage, which really is an adult world, but welcomes that child into the world of marriage because most of the people he or she knows, most of them are married. And it gives parents words to convey to their children what God is telling us about marriage, where it began, what it's for, the different commitments that are required in a Christian marriage, and some of the mistakes that we as human beings, sinful human beings, make along the way. It also shows children the beauty of marriage in that it's a visual representation of Jesus Christ in love with his bride, the church. People should read this book because we need a strong voice for Christian marriage in the world today. We need parents who know how to speak to their children, and we need to have children who grow up believing that marriage, Christian marriage between one man and one woman for all of life, is a beautiful, God-blessed thing from heaven above. If they don't have those words to convey to their children can grow up confused, not really understanding, embracing what the world might say, and feeling like they don't know the right way. I think people really need to read this. I came to faith when I was 9 years old through the testimony of my Sunday school teacher. My family was not a Christian family. I grew up in the 1950s, and in those olden days, families used to bring their children to Sunday school. It gave them a free hour on a Sunday morning to do what they wanted to do. So my mom and dad brought us to the closest church, which happened to be a Bible-believing Baptist church in Minneapolis, Minnesota. And over the course of 11 years, all 6 people in my family came to faith in Christ through the ministry of that church. I came to faith through the testimony of Miss Nona Brown. She and her sister, Miss Addie Brown, were what we would call today old maids. They never married. They must have been in their 70s, were teaching Sunday school, and Sunday by Sunday, they taught me about Jesus. I'm so grateful for them. Well, other than the Bible, let's see. It's hard for me because I'm in a family of authors. One book that influenced me as a young woman was my mother-in-law, Jani Ortlund's book, Disciplines of the Beautiful Woman. But another book in that same genre was Elizabeth Elliot's book, Let Me Be a Woman. She's just come out, well, she's with the Lord now, but there has been published a new book that has been taken from some of her lectures on why it's entitled, Why Suffering is Never for Nothing. And I really appreciate anything Elizabeth Elliot writes, as well as my mother-in-law. There is a passage that really has spoken to me. It's Isaiah 42:16. And I need to give a little bit of a background so you'll understand why this passage means so much to me. It says, let's see if I can quote it, I will guide the blind in a way that they do not know. In paths that they have not gone, I will lead them. I will turn the darkness before them into light. And I will make the rough places into level ground. These are the things I do, and I do not forsake them. The reason this promise has come to mean so much to me is that whenever Ray and I go through a period of transition in our ministry, in our life, a very wise man told us, look for a promise from God and hold on to it. And let that be your North Star when the questions come. Well, we've been in pastoral ministry for almost 5 decades now, and we're turning 70 this year. Ray will be stepping down from his senior pastor position, and we will be doing some other things. We want our 70s to be our best decade yet. Why shouldn't they be? I mean, the Lord has so graciously poured so much into us. We want him to get a good return on his investment. When we stand before him, we want to be able to say from Psalm 40, I have not restrained my lips before the congregation. I have not concealed what you have told me. I have spoken, I have opened my mouth. So we're asking the Lord to guide us down paths we have not known, to turn the darkness before us into light, to make those rough places into level ground so that we'll be able to follow him and give him our best in our 70s. Well, maybe not our best. Maybe our 80s will be our best, but the best yet. Isaiah 42:16. Oh, what a good promise from a kind king. Well, the kale salad would not surprise you because anybody who knows Jani knows she loves kale. What would surprise you right now is my husband's diet. He is on Nutrisystem because he has decided that enough is enough and he's not going to take any more weight into his 70th year. So he is on a diet right now. So our refrigerator looks kind of sparse. It has my kale, has some eggs, has some fruit, and lots of vegetables. I would rather fight one horse-sized duck and take him down. How big could his wings be? How big could his beak be? Than 100 little ducks that would pick and poke, and I just would feel like I'd be swinging everywhere. I like a big giant to conquer. I like to just go at it, full steam ahead, and get it. A little bit here, a little bit there, a little bit there, till I wear it down. So one horse-sized duck. Hey man, he's seen his end with Jani. What could this last question be after these? What modern habit? Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. Looking at our phones while we walk. I used to love to walk through a mall Or we live in a quaint little town in central Tennessee called Franklin, and has a lovely downtown area. I used to love to walk along there and see whose eye I could catch with a smile and a hello and maybe what we used to call howdy time. You have to make time for howdy time in the village. Not anymore. Everybody's walking along like this, and then occasionally they'll look up to see if there's a red light. I wish we could say it was illegal to walk with a cell phone in your hand.